Most people believe logic is a superpower. You probably believe that too. You use your mind to solve problems at work. You analyze risk before making a decision. You break complex systems down into simple parts. It works everywhere else, but in your love life it fails. The harder you try to think your way through a relationship, the faster it falls apart. Why does high intelligence make you so vulnerable to heartbreak? There is a hidden psychological trap inside a logical mind. Most people never see it coming. But once you understand how your brain tricks you in romantic partnerships, everything changes. You enter a relationship with good intentions. You want stability. You want to understand your partner deeply. So when a disagreement happens, your brain goes to work. You look for facts. You trace the sequence of events. You build an airtight argument based on reality. While other people get blinded by raw emotion, you stay quiet and focused. You present a logical solution to the argument. You expect your partner to see the clarity of your reasoning. Instead, they pull away, they get angry, they tell you that you do not care. You walk away feeling completely misunderstood. This happens because you fell for a major psychological myth. The myth says that human connection runs on clear reason. Most people assume that if two adults speak rationally, they will solve their problems. That is false. Erich Fromm explained this in his work on the art of loving. He wrote that love is not a passive mental calculation. Love is an active state of shared emotional presence. When you treat a partner like an equation, you remove the human element. You offer them answers when they are asking for safety. You give them evidence when they are looking for warmth. Your logical mind acts like a fortress. You built it for a good reason. Long before this relationship, you learned that emotions were dangerous. Perhaps you grew up in an unpredictable home. Perhaps an early relationship hurt you deeply. You noticed that people who act on impulse get destroyed, so you adapted. You developed high analytical skills to stay safe. Sigmund Freud called this process intellectualization. It is a defense mechanism. You take a painful emotion and turn it into an abstract thought. You neutralize the threat by thinking instead of feeling. You feel safe inside your head, but your partner feels locked outside the gates. Every time an argument starts, the fortress walls rise up. Your partner brings you a messy, raw feeling. They might say you are cold. They might say they feel alone. To a logical mind, this sounds like an accusation. It sounds like an inaccurate statement, so you correct their statement. You list 3 reasons why their feeling makes no logical sense. You remind them of what you did for them yesterday. You present evidence of your dedication. You think you are clearing up a misunderstanding, but you just committed a massive mistake. You debated a feeling instead of validating an experience. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman demonstrated that human beings do not make decisions through pure logic. We rely on fast, emotional brain systems first. Rational thought comes second, mostly to justify what we already felt. When your partner comes to you with an emotional problem, their survival system is active. They do not want a judge or a lawyer. They want to know you are in the trench with them. By handing them a logical blueprint, you send an unintended signal. You tell them that their internal world is incorrect. You reject their reality. This creates a painful dynamic in your daily life. You start feeling like a spectator in your own relationship. You watch conversations happen from a distance. You catch yourself analyzing your partner while they speak. You notice their logical inconsistencies. You point out their cognitive biases. You think you are helping them see things clearly. While most people act out of blind emotion, you pride yourself on staying objective. But your objectivity feels like cruelty to the person sitting across from you. You win the debate. You prove your point. Yet you sleep alone in an emotional desert. The problem runs deeper than simple communication styles. It touches your actual sense of control. Logic gives you the illusion that you can predict human behavior. If you can analyze why someone acts a certain way, they cannot surprise you. If you can map out their patterns, they cannot hurt you. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus taught that we should separate what we can control from what we cannot. But the overanalytical mind takes this principle too far. You try to control the unpredictable nature of love itself. You try to eliminate vulnerability through intelligence. Vulnerability cannot exist inside a purely logical structure. Vulnerability requires you to risk being wrong. It requires you to sit with uncomfortable feelings without trying to fix them immediately. When you run every emotion through an analytical filter, you strip out the raw energy that creates intimacy. You become an expert on your relationship, but you stop actually living in it. You trade deep connection for a sense of intellectual superiority. You remain protected, but you stay entirely isolated. Look at how you react when you feel hurt. An emotionally open person might cry or state their hurt directly. An overanalytical person does something very different. You pull back into your mind. You dissect why your partner hurt you. You assign motives to their behavior. You construct a psychological profile of their flaws. By the time you speak to them again, you do not offer them your pain. You offer them a lecture. You deliver an analysis of their behavior. You protect your pride, but you prevent them from comforting you. This pattern leads to a silent, tragic outcome. Your partner eventually stops bringing their inner world to you. They realize that their emotions will be analyzed, not received. They realize that crying in front of you leads to a lecture on emotional regulation, so they go quiet. You might look at this quietness and think you solved the problem. You tell yourself that peace has returned, but it is not peace, it is surrender. They are detaching from you. The distance between you grows every single day, disguised as quiet stability. Carl Jung spoke at length about the shadow side of the intellect. When you over-identify with your rational mind, your emotional side does not disappear. It simply sinks into the unconscious mind. It stays there unacknowledged and underdeveloped. Jung noted that whatever we ignore in our psychology will eventually control us from behind the scenes. Because you refuse to acknowledge your own raw, messy emotions, they leak out as passive aggression. They manifest as sudden detachment. You view yourself as reasonable, but your partner experiences you as emotionally rigid and punishing. You might wonder why you keep attracting partners who seem overly dramatic or highly emotional. This is not an accident. Psychological research shows that we often seek out partners who express the parts of ourselves we have repressed. You live entirely in your head, so you subconsciously look for someone who lives entirely in their heart. You hope their warmth will thaw your icy fortress. But once the initial excitement wears off, the exact same dynamic turns toxic. You look down on their emotional bursts. They resent your cold detachment. The central tragedy of the logical mind in love is simple. You use intelligence to seek safety, but that very intelligence destroys the intimacy you crave. You turn a shared human experience into a solo research project. You analyze the flower instead of watering it. You study the mechanics of warmth while freezing in the cold. While most people lose themselves in chaotic emotions, you lose yourself in abstract concepts. You sit alone with your flawless arguments, wondering why no one is there to celebrate your victory. The real mechanism running your love life is not high intelligence. It is a hidden, intense fear of helpless exposure. Logic is not just a tool you use to navigate the world. It is a shield you hold up to prevent people from seeing your fragile center. You believe that if you drop your analytical defenses, you will be overwhelmed. You believe that unedited emotion will swallow you whole. You hold onto reason because it feels like the only thing keeping you from falling apart. You do not need to abandon your intellect to find deep, lasting love. Your mind is a valuable gift, but you must learn when to put the tool down. A hammer is useful for driving nails, but it is useless for holding a hand. You must learn to recognize the exact moment your brain tries to convert a feeling into an idea. When your partner expresses pain, stop looking for the cause. Stop looking for the fix. Resist the urge to evaluate their logic. Real strength is not the ability to win an argument. Real strength is the capacity to stay present in the middle of emotional messiness without trying to fix it. It is the decision to put down your mental weapons and let yourself be seen, unprotected, and real. When you shift your goal from being right to being present, everything changes. The fortress walls fall away. The analysis stops. For the very first time, you are not just thinking about love. You are finally living it.